What do you think is the most important Christian relationship in your life? And what if I told you that most of us simply get the answer to that question wrong? Let's talk about that for a couple minutes. When I think about this question, what is the most important Christian relationship in your life? There are basically four answers that tend to float to the top. Four answers that are most commonly mentioned. I don't have any elaborate research to share on this, but I do have several decades of life experience to draw upon. So, here goes. The most common answer I've heard is your spouse. The marriage relationship is the single most important Christian relationship you'll ever have. The logic is that this is the person you've committed to walk through life with all the ups and downs, the joys and the sadness, the accomplishments and the occasional stumbles. This is the person that you rely on most. And this is the person that most relies on you. So it's hard to think of any relationship that could be more important. Some good logic and some very important points. Another common answer I hear is the parent-child relationship. And the logic I hear most often for this is that our children are the future of the church. My spouse and I will pass away. But the legacy I leave with my children will have a lasting impact on the strength and endurance of God's church. So the long-term impact of this relationship is beyond measure. Once again, some good logic and some very important points. While less common than the previous two answers, I also have heard a significant number of people say that the relationship they have with their pastor is at the top of the list. My observation is that this is sometimes mentioned as most important by people that may not have a marriage relationship or not a very strong marriage relationship. Regardless, their logic is usually that every Christian is going to face challenges. Their faith is going to be tested. The pleasures of life are going to tempt them. So every Christian needs a dedicated servant of God that they can go to when they run into these obstacles that we'll all face from time to time. Agree or disagree with this particular answer, I suspect we all know someone that has greatly benefited from this pastoral relationship. And the fourth answer I hear is Christian friends. The importance of surrounding yourself with Christian friends who can be there to support you in your time of need, who you can reciprocate with in their time of need. And just like the pastoral relationship, I'm sure we can all think of times when we or others have greatly benefited from our Christian friendships. So, what if I told you that all four of those answers are? Well, I'm not going to say all four of those answers are good. I'm going to say that all four of those answers are wrong. W-R-O-N-G, wrong. And I believe that I can turn to the Bible and demonstrate that. When Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, he gave a very concise, clear answer. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. No hedging, no beating around the bush, no prerequisites or conditions. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. Those few words make it really clear who our most important relationship needs to be with. But it was more than just words from Jesus. He also said it with his actions. Mark 1:35 says Jesus got up while it was still dark and went off alone to pray. Luke 6:12 says Jesus prayed all night. Luke 5:16 says Jesus frequently withdrew to the wilderness alone to pray. Luke 22:39 says, speaking of Jesus going to pray alone, and says, as was his custom. Jesus demonstrated throughout his entire life that his relationship to God was of utmost importance to him. Not only did he say, to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. He demonstrated that. It was a real part of his daily life. He spent personal, one-on-one, intentional time with God. We started this video with 4 potential answers to what is the most important Christian relationship in our life. And as we close, I want to make 4 questions regarding those 4 potential answers. Is God there to help us have better relationships with our Christian friends? Or are our Christian friends there to help us have a better relationship with God? Is God there to help us have a better relationship with our pastor? Or is our pastor there to help us have a better relationship with God? Is God there to help us have better relationships with our children? Or are we there as parents to help our children have a better relationship with God? Is God there to help us have a better relationship with our spouse? Or is our spouse there to help us have a better relationship with God? Do any of those questions make you a little uncomfortable? Before you dismiss them, I'd ask you to think a little more about them and about whether we really do see our relationship with God as the most important relationship in our lives. If you find all this a bit challenging, you're not alone. So do I. Thanks for listening. God bless you on your journey.